Some discoveries don't fit neatly into the history we think we understand. Objects have been found buried deep beneath the earth, sealed inside stone, preserved in places where no one expected them. Ancient chambers hidden beneath hills, structures carved into rock and then forgotten, sites that remained undisturbed for thousands of years before being uncovered again. In this video, we explore ancient structures and discoveries that remained hidden beneath the surface, preserved by stone, earth, and time itself. What was buried was never truly lost. It was simply waiting to be found. The fortress that watches an empty horizon. Along the northern coastline of Bahrain, where the land meets the calm waters of the Persian Gulf, there stands a stone fortress that overlooks a horizon that appears almost unchanged by time. The structure itself is quiet and still, rising from a low mound of earth and stone without dramatic height or elaborate decoration. At first glance, it appears to be a single historical structure, but closer examination reveals something far more significant. This fortress was built on top of the remains of multiple earlier settlements, each one constructed by people who lived here long before the current walls existed. Qalat al-Bahrain is not simply a fort, it is the accumulated result of continuous human occupation over thousands of years. Beneath the visible structure lies a deep sequence of archaeological layers, each representing a different civilization that used this exact location for settlement, trade and defence. These layers formed gradually as older buildings collapsed, were abandoned, or were deliberately replaced by newer construction. The ground itself was shaped by human activity. Over time, the settlement became elevated above the surrounding terrain, not because of natural geological forces, but because of repeated construction. Each generation built its own structures directly on top of the remains of earlier ones, preserving physical evidence of long-term occupation in the process. One of the earliest known civilizations to occupy this site was Dilmun, which emerged during the 3rd millennium BCE. Dilmun played a central role in regional trade, acting as an intermediary between Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. Bahrain's position in the Persian Gulf made it an ideal location for maritime activity, and settlements like Qalat al-Bahrain became important centres where goods were received, stored, and redistributed. The presence of permanent stone buildings reflects the stability of the settlement. Unlike temporary camps, these structures were designed to last for generations. Their construction required planning, labour, and knowledge of materials, demonstrating that this was not an isolated or short-term occupation. Stone walls defined spaces, stone foundations supported buildings, stone preserved the physical presence of the community. As political control of the region shifted over centuries, new societies occupied the site and modified its structure. Rather than clearing the land completely, they reused existing foundations, reinforcing walls or constructing new buildings directly above older ones. This practice allowed earlier architectural layers to remain intact beneath newer construction. The fortress visible today was built much later, during the Islamic period, when the site was used as a defensive stronghold. Its position provided a clear view of the surrounding coastline, making it possible to observe maritime activity and monitor movement in the region. The builders used limestone blocks, carefully shaping and placing each one to create walls capable of supporting their own weight and resisting environmental conditions. These walls still stand today. Their surfaces show the marks of human shaping. Their alignment reflects deliberate construction. Inside the fortress, the remains of rooms and passageways reveal how the structure functioned when it was active. These interior spaces were part of a larger defensive and administrative system, allowing those inside to maintain control over the surrounding area. The design reflects practical concerns rather than decorative ambition. The structure was meant to endure environmental exposure, including heat, wind, and salt carried from the nearby sea. The durability of the limestone made this possible, allowing the fortress to remain structurally recognizable even after centuries of abandonment. Archaeological excavation has revealed the full extent of the site's historical significance. Beneath the fortress, researchers uncovered multiple layers of earlier construction, including residential buildings, storage areas, and defensive walls from different time periods. Each layer contributes to the understanding of how the site developed. Each structure reflects the needs of the people who built it. Each stone preserves evidence of human activity. Walking through the site today reveals the visible fortress, as well as parts of the older settlements beneath it. The remains do not present themselves as a single unified construction, but as a sequence of architectural phases that together form a continuous historical record. The fortress does not rely on height or visual dominance to communicate its importance. Its significance lies in its continuity and preservation. It provides direct physical evidence of how human societies used the same strategic location over thousands of years, adapting its structure to meet changing political, economic, and environmental conditions. Stone served as the primary material throughout this process. It provided stability, it provided durability, it provided permanence. Khalat al-Bahrain remains one of the clearest examples of long-term settlement preserved in physical form. Its structure reflects not only the intentions of its final builders, but also the accumulated efforts of countless individuals who shaped the same location across multiple civilizations. Today, the fortress continues to overlook the coastline, its walls still marking the position of a settlement that existed long before the modern world. The horizon remains open, and the structure remains in place, preserving the record of human activity across more than 4,000 years. The ancient door sealed inside solid rock. In the city of Thiruvananthapuram, in the southern Indian state of Kerala, there stands a temple complex that has remained active for centuries. From the outside, the structure appears consistent with traditional temple architecture of the region, with carved stone walls, layered corridors, and a central sanctuary built according to established religious and architectural principles. But beneath the visible structure, there exists a system of enclosed vaults constructed from solid stone, designed to remain sealed and protected deep within the foundation of the temple. These vaults were not created as temporary storage areas. They were built as permanent chambers. They were integrated directly into the structure of the temple. The Padmanabhaswamy temple was constructed and expanded over many centuries, with major portions of its current form established during the medieval period. The builders used granite and other durable materials, shaping stone blocks and arranging them in ways that ensured structural stability. These materials were chosen not only for their strength, but for their ability to endure environmental exposure and support the weight of the structure above. The underground vault system was carved into the foundation layer, where stone walls, floors, and ceilings form enclosed chambers beneath the main temple. These spaces were created by removing material from solid rock and reinforcing the openings with precisely shaped stone blocks. The construction required planning, it required skilled labour, it required time. Unlike surface rooms, these chambers were designed with controlled access points. The entrances were sealed using heavy stone doors, each one shaped to fit within a carved frame. These doors were not installed loosely. They were positioned carefully to prevent movement and to ensure that the interior remained isolated from external conditions. The stone itself formed the barrier. This material defined the boundary. The structure ensured permanence. The vault doors are known for their detailed carvings, which reflect the artistic traditions of temple construction in southern India. These carvings include symbolic designs and geometric patterns shaped directly into the stone surface. The presence of these carvings indicates that the vault entrances were not treated as purely functional elements, but as integral parts of the architectural design. The underground chambers were part of a larger structural system that supported the temple above. Their placement required careful calculation to ensure that removing rock from beneath the structure did not weaken its foundation. Builders had to maintain balance between excavation and structural support, preserving the stability of the temple while creating enclosed spaces below. This reflects architectural understanding. It reflects engineering awareness. It reflects deliberate construction. Over time, the vaults remained sealed, preserving their interior conditions. Their design protected the contents from environmental exposure, including temperature variation and moisture. The stone walls acted as natural insulation, maintaining stable conditions within the chambers. The durability of granite made this possible. It resisted erosion. It resisted structural failure. It preserved the chambers. The temple itself continued to function above the vaults, with religious activity taking place regularly. The underground chambers remained physically present but separated from daily use, protected by the stone doors that sealed their entrances. Archaeological and historical study of the temple has focused on understanding its construction, materials, and long-term preservation. The vault system represents an important example of how ancient builders integrated underground architecture into major religious structures. These chambers were not accidental, they were intentional, they were permanent. Standing within the temple complex today, the stone corridors and carved surfaces reflect centuries of continuous maintenance and preservation. Beneath these visible areas, the vaults remain part of the structure, their stone doors still in place, maintaining the separation established by their builders. The stone defines their existence. The structure preserves their position. The material ensures their survival. The vaults beneath Padmanabhaswamy Temple represent one of the most durable examples of underground stone architecture integrated into a religious structure. They demonstrate how builders used solid rock not only as foundation but as enclosure, creating spaces designed to remain intact across generations. And beneath the temple that continues to stand in Thiruvananthapuram, the sealed stone chambers remain exactly where they were created, preserving the architectural decisions of those who shaped them centuries ago. The skeleton found, sitting alone, in a stone chamber. The silent burial of Varna necropolis. Along the coast of the Black Sea in northeastern Bulgaria, not far from the modern city of Varna, archaeologists uncovered a burial site that had remained undisturbed for thousands of years. Beneath the surface of the soil, protected by layers of earth and time, they found stone-lined chambers that had been deliberately constructed to hold the remains of individuals from a prehistoric society. One of these chambers contained something unusual, a human skeleton, positioned upright, placed carefully inside a confined stone space. The burial was not accidental, and it was not the result of collapse or natural causes. The chamber had been constructed intentionally, using stone slabs arranged to create enclosed walls and a defined interior. The body had been placed within this space in a seated position, indicating that those who built the chamber had carefully arranged the burial according to established cultural practices. This was part of the Varna necropolis, and it would become one of the most important archaeological discoveries in Europe. The necropolis dates back to approximately 4500 BCE, making it one of the oldest known burial sites with complex construction and grave organisation. At this time, human societies in the region were transitioning from simple settlements into more organised communities capable of producing advanced tools, permanent structures, and formal burial practices. The presence of stone burial chambers reflects a level of planning and social organisation. The construction required labour, it required intention, it required knowledge of materials. The stone slabs used to create the chamber were positioned vertically to form walls, with additional stone used to cover and protect the burial. This created an enclosed environment that preserved the remains inside. The builders selected durable materials to ensure long-term stability, allowing the chamber to survive environmental exposure over thousands of years. The skeleton remained in position, the chamber remained intact, the structure remained stable. The seated position of the body suggests that the burial followed specific cultural or ceremonial traditions. Unlike burials where bodies were laid flat, this arrangement required additional effort, as the chamber had to be shaped to support the body in its upright position. This reflects deliberate preparation, it reflects ritual significance, it reflects structured burial practice. The Varna necropolis contained many graves, but some were more elaborate than others. Certain burials included grave goods such as tools, ornaments, and objects made from stone, bone, and metal. These items were placed alongside the deceased, suggesting beliefs about identity, status, or continuity beyond death. The stone chambers preserved these items. They preserved their arrangement. They preserved their meaning. Archaeologists studying the site have used these discoveries to better understand the society that created the necropolis. The construction of stone burial chambers required coordination and shared cultural practices, indicating that the people who lived here had established social structures and traditions. They were not isolated individuals. They were part of a community. They shared architectural knowledge. The survival of the chamber and its contents was made possible by the durability of stone and the protection provided by the surrounding soil. Unlike organic materials, which decay quickly, stone structures can remain intact for thousands of years, preserving the evidence of human activity long after the society that created them has disappeared. The chamber remained sealed, the skeleton remained in place, the structure remained preserved. Standing at the excavation site today, the stone-lined burial chambers reveal the physical methods used by prehistoric communities to shape their environment. The placement of each stone reflects deliberate construction, showing how early societies used available materials to create permanent burial spaces. Stone defined the chamber, stone defined the boundary, stone defined preservation. The Varna necropolis provides direct evidence of how prehistoric communities used stone, not only for buildings and tools, but also for burial architecture. These chambers were designed to endure, preserving the remains and cultural practices of those who built them. And beneath the ground near the Black Sea, where the land appears quiet and unchanged, the stone burial chambers continue to preserve the memory of individuals placed within them thousands of years ago, their position and structure remaining exactly as they were left by the society that created them. The underground tunnel that was never finished, the subterranean network beneath Cu Chi, beneath the surface of southern Vietnam, in the region known as Cu Chi, there exists an underground system that was created slowly, one section at a time, through direct human excavation. From above ground, there is no obvious indication that anything exists below. The soil appears continuous, covered by vegetation and shaped only by natural forces. But beneath this surface lies a network of narrow tunnels and chambers, extending through the earth in ways that cannot be understood without entering the underground space itself. The tunnel system was not created all at once. It developed gradually, beginning with small excavated shelters that were later expanded into connected passageways. Workers removed soil manually, using tools designed for cutting and shaping compacted earth. Each section had to be carved carefully, because the surrounding soil served as both the material being removed and the structure supporting the tunnel. The stability of the tunnel depended entirely on the surrounding ground. There were no external supports made of stone or wood in many sections. The earth itself carried the weight. This required an understanding of how soil behaves under pressure. Excavation could not proceed randomly. The shape and size of the tunnels had to be controlled so that the ceiling would remain intact and the walls would not collapse. Many of the tunnels were shaped with curved ceilings rather than flat surfaces, distributing weight more evenly and increasing structural stability. As excavation progressed, chambers were created at intervals along the tunnels. These chambers provided space for storage, rest, and movement. Some chambers connected directly to multiple tunnel branches, forming junction points that allowed access to different areas. Not every tunnel reached completion. Some passages extend only a short distance before stopping abruptly. The unfinished sections remain exactly as they were left. These incomplete tunnels reveal the process of construction more clearly than the finished sections. Tool marks are still visible on the walls, showing where excavation stopped. The surfaces remain rough and uneven, preserving the physical evidence of human activity and progress. The underground environment differs significantly from the surface. Temperature fluctuations are reduced, and the enclosed space creates conditions that remain relatively stable. The soil surrounding the tunnels acts as insulation, limiting exposure to external weather conditions. This helped preserve the tunnel structure. It helped maintain its shape. It helped ensure its survival. Entrances to the tunnels were created at ground level, often concealed within the natural landscape. These access points were positioned carefully to prevent accidental discovery and to maintain the integrity of the underground network. Once inside, the tunnels narrow quickly. Movement through them requires careful positioning, as the dimensions were designed to minimize structural risk while maximizing functional use of space. The tunnel system reflects deliberate planning rather than random excavation. Its layout follows a pattern shaped by practical needs and environmental limitations. Every section required physical effort. Every chamber required removal of soil. Every passage required structural balance. Over time, some sections of the tunnel system were abandoned before completion. The reasons for this vary, including changing environmental conditions, shifting priorities, or structural challenges encountered during excavation. These unfinished tunnels remain preserved because the surrounding soil continues to support them. Unlike surface structures, which are exposed to wind and rain, underground spaces can remain stable for extended periods when the surrounding material remains undisturbed. The absence of external construction materials makes the preservation of these tunnels particularly significant. Their stability depends entirely on the characteristics of the soil and the precision of the excavation. Archaeological study of the Ku-Chi tunnels provides insight into underground construction methods and the physical effort required to create subsurface structures without modern equipment. The tunnel walls still show the marks left by tools. The chambers retain their original shape. The unfinished sections remain visible. Walking through the tunnels today allows direct observation of how the underground network was formed. The confined space, the shape of the walls, and the incomplete passages all preserve evidence of human excavation exactly as it occurred. The tunnels were not designed for visibility, they were designed for concealment. They remain hidden beneath the surface. Their existence demonstrates how humans can reshape the earth itself, creating permanent underground structures through careful excavation and planning. Beneath the forests and fields of Ku-Chi, where the ground appears unchanged, the unfinished tunnels remain exactly where they were carved, preserving the physical record of human effort that was never fully completed. The city built again and again. The layered ruins of Troy. On a low hill in northwestern Turkey, not far from the Aegean coast, there is a place where the ground itself preserves the remains of multiple cities built across thousands of years. From above, the site appears as a mound of earth and stone, its surface uneven and marked by exposed walls and excavation trenches. But this mound is not a natural formation. It was created by continuous human settlement, where each generation built its city directly on top of the remains of the previous one. This is the archaeological site of Troy, and beneath its surface lies a sequence of cities. The mound, known as Hisarlik, rises gradually above the surrounding plain. Its elevation is the result of repeated construction, destruction, and rebuilding. Each time a city was damaged or abandoned, new inhabitants returned and constructed their buildings on the same ground, using the existing ruins as foundations. This process continued for more than 3,000 years. Stone walls were buried, new walls were raised above them. The city changed, but the location remained the same. Archaeological excavation has revealed that Troy was not a single city, but a series of settlements, each representing a different period in history. These settlements are now identified as distinct layers, numbered in sequence to reflect their chronological order. Each layer represents a complete phase of occupation. Each phase reflects a different society. Each society left behind physical evidence. The earliest settlements at Troy were small, consisting of simple buildings constructed from stone and mud brick. Over time, the city expanded, developing defensive walls, gates, and organized streets. Stone became an essential material, providing strength and durability. Some of the walls were constructed using large stone blocks. These blocks formed defensive barriers. They protected the interior of the city. As Troy grew, its strategic location made it an important centre for trade and regional control. The site was positioned near access routes connecting the Aegean Sea with inland regions, allowing movement of goods and people. The city became established. Its structures became permanent. Its walls defined its boundaries. Excavation trenches cut into the mound reveal the layers clearly. Stone walls from different time periods appear stacked above one another, each one marking a separate phase of construction. The differences in material, style, and technique allow archaeologists to distinguish between these phases. Some walls are thicker, some are constructed differently, some belong to earlier periods. The presence of multiple layers demonstrates how the site remained important across centuries. Even when destruction occurred, the location itself continued to attract new settlers. Instead of abandoning the site permanently, they rebuilt. The ground preserved everything. The ruins became the foundation. The city continued. Walking through the excavation site today reveals the exposed remains of these structures. Stone walls form partial outlines of buildings. Foundations mark the positions of streets and rooms. The layers appear as distinct levels, each one representing a different moment in time. The excavation process itself required careful removal of soil, allowing archaeologists to expose each layer without damaging the structures beneath. This work revealed the complexity of the site and confirmed that Troy existed as a sequence of cities rather than a single settlement. The stone remains provide direct evidence of construction methods. They show how walls were built. They show how cities developed. Some defensive walls remain partially intact, showing the thickness and scale of the original construction. These walls were designed to resist attack and protect the inhabitants of the city. Their structure reflects planning. Their material reflects durability. Their survival reflects stability. The mound itself continues to preserve the layers beneath. Even where excavation has not occurred, the buried structures remain in place, protected by the earth above them. The site demonstrates how human settlement can reshape the landscape over long periods of time. Each generation contributed to the formation of the mound, leaving behind structures that became part of the physical ground. Stone became foundation. Stone became history. Stone became continuity. The archaeological site of Troy provides one of the clearest examples of layered urban development in the ancient world. It shows how cities can exist not as single events, but as sequences of construction, destruction, and rebuilding. And on the mound overlooking the plain, where the remains of many cities exist beneath a single surface, Troy continues to preserve the physical record of human settlement across thousands of years. The burial chamber with no entrance. The sealed stone interior of Gavrinis. On a small island off the coast of Brittany in western France, there stands a mound of earth and stone that appears at first glance, to be a natural part of the landscape. Its surface is covered with grass, and its shape rises gently above the surrounding ground. There are no visible openings on the top, no exposed rooms, and nothing to suggest that inside this mound there exists a carefully constructed stone chamber built more than 6,000 years ago. This is Gavrinis, and inside it lies one of the most precisely constructed burial chambers of the Neolithic world. The mound itself was built by human effort, using layers of soil and stone placed deliberately to form a protective covering over the chamber inside. Beneath this outer layer, a narrow stone corridor leads inward, constructed using large upright slabs positioned carefully to create stable walls. These slabs support additional stone placed above them, forming a roof that has remained intact for millennia. The chamber was not visible from the outside. It was hidden within the mound. Its presence was entirely enclosed by stone. The construction required transporting massive stone slabs to the island, shaping them, and placing them in alignment to create the passage and central chamber. These stones were not arranged randomly. Each slab was positioned according to a plan, ensuring that the structure would remain stable under the weight of the mound above it. The corridor leads to a central chamber formed by vertical stone slabs arranged in a circular pattern. Above them, a large capstone rests across the top, sealing the space and completing the structure. The weight of this stone holds the chamber in place, preventing collapse and protecting the interior. The chamber remains structurally complete. The stone has preserved its original position. The interior remains enclosed. What makes Gavrinis particularly significant is the surface of the stones themselves. Many of the slabs inside the chamber are covered with carved patterns. These carvings include spirals, curved lines, and geometric shapes created directly on the stone surface before the chamber was sealed. The carvings were not added later. They were part of the original construction. They were created intentionally. The patterns remain clearly visible today, preserved by the protection of the enclosed environment. Because the chamber remained sealed and covered by the mound, the interior was shielded from weather and erosion. This allowed the carvings to survive. It allowed the chamber to remain intact. It preserved the structure. The purpose of Gavrinis was funerary. It served as a burial chamber, constructed to hold human remains and associated objects. The design reflects a cultural practice in which burial spaces were built as permanent stone structures rather than temporary graves. The builders used stone to define space. They used stone to preserve the chamber. They used stone to ensure permanence. Once construction was completed, the mound was sealed. The chamber was not designed for regular entry or reuse. Its enclosure ensured that the interior remained isolated, preserving its condition across thousands of years. The chamber remained hidden beneath the mound. Its existence was unknown to later societies. Its structure remained undisturbed. Archaeological study of Gavrinis has provided insight into Neolithic construction methods and burial practices. The precision of the stone placement demonstrates an understanding of structural balance and weight distribution. The builders knew how to create an enclosed space capable of supporting the mass above it without collapse. The chamber continues to exist exactly where it was constructed. The stones remain in place. The carvings remain visible. Standing inside the passage today reveals the scale of the construction. The corridor is narrow, and the chamber feels enclosed, emphasizing the deliberate nature of its design. The mound above continues to protect it. The stone continues to preserve it. The structure continues to endure. Gavrinis represents one of the most complete examples of Neolithic burial architecture. It demonstrates how early societies used stone not only for tools and surface structures, but also for enclosed chambers designed to last beyond human lifetime. And beneath the grassy mound on a small island in Brittany, the stone chamber remains sealed within its protective covering, preserving the physical record of those who built it more than 6,000 years ago. The fortress built on a mountain no one lives on, the isolated stronghold of Masada. In the desert of southern Israel, near the western edge of the Dead Sea, there is a mountain that rises sharply from the surrounding landscape. Its sides are steep and difficult to climb, and its flat summit appears separated from the world below. From a distance, it looks like a natural plateau, shaped by geological forces over millions of years. But on its summit, there are stone walls, rooms, and structures that reveal something very different. This is Masada, and it was not shaped by nature alone. Masada was transformed into a fortress through deliberate human construction. Builders carried stone, tools, and supplies to the top of the mountain and used them to create a fortified settlement designed to remain secure and self-contained. The location itself provided natural protection, with steep cliffs on all sides, limiting access to the summit. The only ways up were narrow paths. Movement was restricted. Access could be controlled. The fortress was developed during the 1st century BCE under the rule of King Herod, who governed the region as part of the Roman world. Herod selected Masada because of its isolation and elevation, recognizing that its position made it defensible and difficult to reach. Construction required significant effort. Stone had to be transported upward. Structures had to be built on uneven terrain. The builders used locally available stone, shaping blocks and placing them to form walls, rooms, and storage facilities. These structures were arranged across the plateau, creating a functional environment capable of supporting long-term occupation. The fortress included living quarters, administrative areas, and storage rooms. The storage spaces were particularly important as they allowed supplies such as food and water to be kept safely within the fortress. This ensured that those inside could remain there for extended periods without relying on external support. Water management was essential. Rainwater was collected. Storage systems preserved it. Large cisterns were constructed to capture and store water, ensuring its availability even in the desert environment. These systems demonstrate the level of planning involved in creating a sustainable settlement at such an isolated location. Stone walls surrounded the edge of the plateau, forming a defensive barrier. These walls defined the boundary of the fortress and created a controlled interior space. The walls remain visible today. Their shape defines the original perimeter. Their structure remains stable. Inside the fortress, the remains of buildings show how the space was organized. Foundations mark the positions of rooms, corridors, and storage areas. These structures were designed to serve practical needs, providing shelter, protection, and storage. The placement reflects planning. The construction reflects permanence. The material reflects durability. Masada's location ensured that it remained isolated. The surrounding desert limited access, and the steep cliffs prevented easy approach. This isolation was intentional, making the fortress a place that could function independently of surrounding settlements. Over time, Masada was abandoned. The structures remained. The stone endured. Environmental conditions in the desert preserved the ruins. The dry climate slowed erosion and prevented rapid deterioration. As a result, much of the original structure remains visible today. Walking across the plateau reveals the full scale of the fortress. Stone walls outline rooms and pathways. The remains of storage areas and defensive structures are still present. The summit remains unchanged. The structures remain in place. The fortress remains visible. Masada represents a unique example of human construction in an extreme environment. It demonstrates how builders used natural terrain and stone materials to create a fortified settlement, designed to endure isolation. And on the top of the mountain, surrounded by desert and open sky, the fortress continues to stand, preserving the physical record of a structure built where no permanent settlement exists today. The stone circle, built in perfect silence, Avebury and the monument that reshaped the landscape. In the countryside of southern England, in the county of Wiltshire, there is a wide circular formation that stretches across open land, where massive stones stand upright in positions chosen more than 4,000 years ago. From ground level, each stone appears as an isolated object, weathered by time and exposed to the elements, but from above, their true arrangement becomes clear. They form a near-perfect circular boundary, defining a space that was deliberately shaped by human effort during a time when no written records existed. This place is known as Avebury. It is one of the largest prehistoric stone circles ever constructed. Its scale is not immediately obvious until its full size is understood. The monument measures approximately 330 metres in diameter, enclosing an area far larger than most other stone circles. The stones themselves vary in height and shape, but their placement follows a consistent pattern that reflects careful planning rather than random distribution. Each stone occupies a specific position. Each placement contributes to the overall structure. Each one remains where it was originally set. The monument was constructed during the Neolithic period between approximately 2600 and 2400 BCE. At that time, the people who lived in this region had no metal tools and no mechanical equipment capable of lifting heavy objects. Despite this, they were able to transport stones weighing many tons across the landscape. The stones were quarried from locations several kilometers away. They were moved across open ground. They were raised into position using controlled effort. Transporting these stones required coordination and understanding of physical balance. Workers likely used ropes, wooden supports, and earthen ramps to move and position the stones. The process would have required time, labour and planning on a scale that reflects organised community activity. The construction did not happen in a single event. It developed gradually. It required sustained effort. The stone circle itself is surrounded by a large earthwork enclosure known as a henge. This enclosure consists of a deep ditch and an outer bank, forming a circular boundary around the stones. The ditch was excavated using simple tools, and the removed earth was placed around the outside to form the bank. This created a defined perimeter. It separated the interior from the surrounding landscape. It reinforced the monument's presence. Inside the main circle, smaller stone circles were also constructed. These inner circles demonstrate that the site was designed as a complex structure rather than a single arrangement. The placement of stones within stones reflects a layered architectural design. The monument was not random. It was organised. It was intentional. The stones themselves were placed into pits dug into the ground. Once positioned upright, the surrounding soil was packed tightly around their bases to secure them in place. This method ensured stability and allowed the stones to remain standing for thousands of years. Many of the stones remain upright today. Their positions remain consistent. Their arrangement remains visible. Environmental conditions have affected the stones over time. Rain, wind, and temperature changes have gradually altered their surfaces, but the structure itself has survived. The durability of the stone and the stability of their placement allowed the monument to endure. The monument continues to define space. It continues to shape the landscape. It continues to preserve its original design. Unlike buildings with walls and roofs, Avebury does not enclose space physically. Instead, it defines space through placement alone. The circular arrangement creates a boundary without creating a barrier. This distinguishes it from conventional architecture. Its structure exists through position. Its form exists through arrangement. The construction of Avebury reflects an understanding of geometry and spatial organisation. The circular shape required careful measurement and alignment. Each stone had to be positioned in relation to the others, ensuring that the overall pattern remained consistent. This required observation. This required planning. This required coordination. Archaeological study of the site has revealed evidence of construction methods, including the pits used to position the stones and the layers of soil that were moved to create the surrounding earthwork. These findings demonstrate that the builders reshaped the landscape itself. They removed earth, they positioned stone, they created permanent structure. The monument has remained in continuous existence for thousands of years. Even as societies changed and new settlements developed nearby, the stone circle remained in place. Some stones were removed or buried over time, but many remained upright. Its presence endured, its structure survived, its form persisted. Walking through Avebury today allows direct observation of the stones and their arrangement. The scale becomes clear when standing beside them. Each stone rises above human height, and their circular placement extends across a wide area. The monument does not rely on height alone. Its scale is expressed through distance. Its presence is expressed through continuity. The earthwork surrounding the circle also remains visible, forming a subtle boundary that reflects the original construction. The ditch and bank continue to define the outer edge of the monument. These features preserve the original design. They preserve the original layout. They preserve the original intention. Avebury represents one of the most significant examples of prehistoric monumental construction. It demonstrates how early human societies used stone and earth to create structures that could endure far beyond their own lifetimes. The monument remains where it was built. The stones remain where they were placed. The circle remains complete. And in the open countryside of England, where the land continues to appear quiet and unchanged, the stone circle of Avebury continues to preserve the physical evidence of human effort carried out more than 4,000 years ago, its structure still defining the landscape exactly as its builders intended. The tomb that was opened and then sealed again. The mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang and the underground world beneath the mound. In the countryside near Xi'an, in Shanxi province, there is a large mound of earth that rises gradually from the surrounding plain. Its surface is covered with vegetation, and its shape appears smooth and stable, blending into the natural landscape. There are no visible walls, no exposed chambers, and no obvious entrance. To someone passing nearby, it might appear to be an ordinary hill, but this mound was built by human hands more than 2,000 years ago, and beneath it lies one of the most extensive underground burial structures ever created. The mound marks the resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor to unify China. His tomb was designed as a permanent underground complex. Its construction reshaped the landscape itself. Work on the mausoleum began during the emperor's lifetime in the 3rd century BCE, shortly after he came to power. Rather than waiting until his death, preparations started decades earlier, reflecting the scale and importance of the project. Historical accounts describe a construction effort involving thousands of workers, including labourers, craftsmen, and engineers who were responsible for shaping the underground space and building the protective layers above it. The burial chamber was not placed directly at ground level. Workers excavated deep into the earth, creating a central chamber surrounded by additional structural features. These included walls, corridors, and protective barriers designed to preserve the interior and prevent collapse. The chamber was enclosed carefully. Its structure was reinforced deliberately. Its position was planned with precision. Once the underground construction was complete, large quantities of earth were placed above it to form the mound visible today. This mound served as a protective covering, shielding the chamber from environmental exposure and reducing the risk of damage. The mound itself became part of the architecture. It preserved the chamber beneath it. It concealed the structure completely. The decision to seal the chamber beneath layers of earth ensured its long-term stability. Underground environments remain more consistent in temperature and humidity compared to surface conditions. This natural protection allowed the structure to survive for centuries without significant deterioration. The burial complex extended far beyond the central chamber. Archaeological excavation in nearby areas revealed additional underground pits containing thousands of life-sized clay figures. These figures, now known as the Terracotta Army, were placed in organised formations representing soldiers, officers, and other members of an imperial force. Each figure was constructed individually. Each one was positioned deliberately. Each one formed part of a larger arrangement. These figures were not placed inside the central burial chamber itself, but in surrounding pits, forming part of the broader mausoleum complex. Their presence demonstrates the scale of the project and the level of planning involved. The construction of the mausoleum required moving vast amounts of earth. Workers excavated soil to create underground space, and then relocated that same material to form the mound above. This process required coordination and sustained labour over many years. The ground was reshaped permanently. The mound became a visible marker. The chamber remained hidden beneath it. Unlike surface buildings, which can be dismantled or repurposed, underground tombs are designed to remain undisturbed. The sealed environment protects the structure from wind, rain, and temperature fluctuations. The tomb remained enclosed, its structure remained intact, its contents remained protected. Although parts of the surrounding complex have been excavated, the central burial chamber itself remains sealed. Archaeologists have chosen not to open it fully, in part because excavation could expose the interior to environmental conditions that might cause deterioration. The decision reflects caution, it reflects preservation priorities, it reflects respect for the structure's condition. Modern technology has allowed researchers to study the tomb indirectly. Surveys and imaging techniques have provided information about its internal layout without requiring physical entry. These studies confirm the presence of a large central chamber surrounded by additional structural features. The mound continues to serve its original purpose. It protects the chamber beneath. It preserves its condition. Standing near the mound today, its size becomes more apparent. The raised earth extends across a wide area, indicating the scale of the construction effort. The surface appears calm and undisturbed, but beneath it lies an architectural system built more than 2,000 years ago. The mound remains stable, its form remains clear, its structure remains unchanged. The durability of the construction reflects the materials used and the methods employed by its builders. Compacted earth forms a dense protective layer, while the underground chamber remains shielded from direct environmental exposure. The tomb was designed for permanence. It was designed to remain sealed. It was designed to endure across generations. Archaeological discoveries in the surrounding area continue to provide insight into the scale and complexity of the mausoleum. Each excavation reveals additional features, including structural remains and burial elements that contribute to understanding the full extent of the site. The burial mound itself remains one of the most visible features. It marks the location clearly. It preserves the structure beneath. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang represents one of the most ambitious burial constructions ever undertaken. Its underground chamber remains enclosed beneath the mound, preserving the architectural work of those who built it. More than 2,000 years have passed since its construction, and the mound continues to rise above the plain, unchanged in its position and purpose. Beneath the surface, the chamber remains where it was placed. The earth continues to protect it. The structure continues to endure. Its presence remains part of the landscape, preserving the physical evidence of a construction project carried out on a scale rarely seen in the ancient world. Burial site with no human remains. The silent stone chamber of Newgrange. In the countryside of Eastern Ireland, in the Boyne Valley of County Meath, there is a large circular mound that rises from the surrounding green landscape. Its surface is covered with grass, and a ring of stones marks its outer boundary. From a distance, it appears as a low hill shaped by natural forces, but this mound was constructed deliberately more than 5,000 years ago by people who reshaped the land to create a permanent stone chamber beneath the earth. This structure is known as Newgrange. It was built during the Neolithic period, long before written history. Its construction required planning, labour, and technical understanding. The mound measures approximately 85 metres in diameter and stands more than 13 metres high. Beneath its surface lies a narrow stone passage that leads inward toward a central chamber. This passage was constructed using large upright stones placed carefully in alignment, with additional stone slabs placed across the top to form a roof. The corridor extends inward gradually. It leads to an enclosed interior space. It remains structurally intact. The central chamber was constructed using massive stones arranged in a circular pattern. Above them, additional stone slabs form a roof that rises upward in a stepped formation. This design distributes weight outward, preventing collapse and allowing the chamber to remain stable over thousands of years. The stones support each other, the structure remains balanced, the chamber remains preserved. Newgrange is often described as a burial site, but its interior does not contain complete human remains. Archaeological evidence suggests that cremated remains may have been placed there at some point, but no intact skeletons were discovered within the chamber. The space remains largely empty, the structure remains complete, the chamber remains intact, the absence of human remains does not reduce the importance of the site. The construction itself demonstrates the intention to create a permanent, enclosed space beneath the earth. The effort required to transport and position the stones reflects the significance of the structure to the people who built it. Each stone was moved deliberately. Each stone was positioned carefully. Each stone contributes to the structure. The entrance to the passage is marked by a large carved stone known as the entrance stone. Its surface contains spiral patterns and geometric shapes carved directly into the rock. These carvings were created before the stone was placed, indicating that decoration was an intentional part of the construction process. The carvings remain visible today. They preserve the work of their creators. They reflect artistic skill. The mound itself was constructed by placing layers of soil and stone over the chamber. This covering protects the interior from environmental exposure and helps maintain structural stability. The earth preserves the chamber. The mound defines the structure. The covering ensures its survival. The passage and chamber were designed with precise alignment. During the winter solstice, sunlight enters the passage and reaches the interior chamber, illuminating the space briefly. This alignment demonstrates an understanding of seasonal cycles and careful positioning during construction. The structure reflects planning. The alignment reflects observation. The design reflects intention. Newgrange remained hidden beneath its mound for thousands of years. Its interior chamber was protected by the stone and earth surrounding it, preserving its structure even as societies changed and new settlements developed nearby. The chamber remained enclosed. The stones remained in place. The structure endured. Archaeological excavation revealed the passage and chamber, allowing researchers to study its construction and understand its purpose. The preservation of the structure provides valuable insight into the engineering capabilities of Neolithic societies. Walking through the passage today reveals the scale of the construction effort. The stones remain tightly fitted and the chamber retains its original form. The structure remains stable. The chamber remains visible. The mound remains intact. Newgrange represents one of the oldest and best preserved stone chambers in the world. Its construction demonstrates how early societies used stone and earth to create permanent underground structures designed to endure across thousands of years. and beneath the mound in the Boyne Valley, where the landscape appears quiet and unchanged, the stone chamber of Newgrange continues to exist, preserving the physical evidence of a structure built long before recorded history.